Good evening, and welcome to day 24 of 40 Days of Bible Study and Prayer. Over these last few weeks, we have been going over the lies that the devil tells us, that we tell ourselves, or that society tells us, and we've been looking into the Bible to get the truth. Today's lie is one that for a long time I told myself, a very, very, very long time. And it's actually something that I hear many, many, many people who profess to be Christians say this lie as well. And so, without further ado, tonight's lie is I don't have to go to church. Um, like I said, I've told myself this many, many times. I don't have to go to church to be a Christian. Um, I don't, it's just not, where is it required? I don't understand that. I shouldn't have to prove to anybody that I believe in God by going to church. Um, I pretty much had that all wrong because I was thinking that we were going to church to prove that we are Christians, and it has nothing to do with proving anything. It has to do with the fact that we were instructed um, from the beginning of time, to go to church. The truth is, God commanded us to go to church, to assemble together. Um, the definition really of assembly is church. Church is assembly. So anytime you assemble together, um, that's what you're doing at church, right? A whole bunch of people are assembling together. That is what the church is. And yes, while the people are the church, it's the assembly of people. That's the church. One by ourselves is not, but it's an assembly of people. That is the church. So Leviticus 23, verse 3. And God said, "There are 6 days when you may work, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a Sabbath to the Lord." So it says it right here, a sacred assembly. On the seventh day, you're supposed to have a sacred assembly, aka church. Going to a church to assemble with other believers. This is what's been instructed since the time of man, the beginning of man. Sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm very, very tired tonight. But since the time where God gave us instructions, this has been one of the instructions He's given us to assemble on the seventh day, a sacred assembly, aka church. Hebrews 10, verses 24 to 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Oh, I spelled deeds wrong, I'm sorry. And good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. So, as you see, even back then, people began to stop going to church. People began to stop meeting together for some reason. And we're not supposed to. We're supposed to continue to meet together every week. Every single week, we're supposed to meet together and not get in the habit of not going. Um, I I'd be the first to say that I have missed out on many, many, many Sundays. Many, many, many Sundays. For months on end. Sometimes years. There was a time where I didn't go to church for years. Again, because I had it in my head that I didn't have to. That I didn't have to prove to anybody. I didn't have to assemble together with a church to worship God. And there's a reason we get together. There's a reason, and this right here says it. It's so that we can encourage one another, to show love to one another, to do good deeds together, to encourage one another. That is the purpose of church. It's to come together and support one another. And that's what a lot of us are missing. We're missing that assembly, especially after COVID happened. Because after COVID happened, people were just doing online church and then they've stuck with that. They've never gone back to the physical church afterwards. And while yes, getting the word online is fine, the main thing is you're getting the word, but assembling together, there's something very, very special about that. Being around other people who are believing with you, who are praying with you, who are worshiping God with you, being able to hug each other, to speak to one another face to face, seeing what people are going through, hearing people's prayer requests, being part of something more than just yourself. Worship by yourself is fine, but worship together is even greater. We can always do things better when we do them together, church included. You can do better things, bigger things, greater things together. And this is why we go. This is why we assemble, to be a part of something bigger, to be a part of a bigger plan, a bigger purpose, not just our singular purpose. It's to commune with others. There's something very, very special about communing with others. It changes your life. It really does. Especially if you're used to living in a virtual world where everything you do is online or on your phone. Doing something different and going and meeting with other believers is one of the best things you could do for yourself and for God and for your walk with God. It's easier to walk with other people than it is by yourself. I mean, think about it. When you say I'm going to start walking, right? I'm just going to start walking for exercise. And you go out and you start walking and you're walking by yourself and it's peaceful at first. It's really nice. But then it gets boring. Then you're like, I don't want to go tomorrow. I don't want to go again. You can start talking yourself out of doing it because it's just you by yourself. But when you're getting together with a group of people to walk together, even if it's just two or three people to walk together, one, you become committed to doing such. You become committed to it. So it becomes something that you are being held accountable to do. And then it's just much more enjoyable to be able to talk with other people as you're walking instead of just being by yourself and in your head. It becomes something that is a joint effort. And you might even go quicker and faster because you're going up against somebody else. If you're by yourself, you might tend to just walk slower than normal. But when you start walking with a group, you try and keep up the pace and go with them. It's the same thing with church, you know? Worshiping by yourself, you're going to go to maybe potentially a slower pace or with a smaller effort. But when you're at church, you meet the effort and the pace of everybody else around you. And that can help propel your worship to another level. So very, very important. Colossians 3 verses 15 to 16. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace. And be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. Again, this shows that we're supposed to be coming together to worship God, to worship Him. And what is it most of the time we do at church? We have a section called worship, right? Or praise. And we sing. We sing and we worship Him while we're doing that. We're instructed to do things like this. We're instructed to come together because we're part of one body. We're part of one body. And we're supposed to do this. It's not even an option. It's supposed to be something that we are to do every week. Luke 4, verse 16. This is speaking about Jesus when it says He. He went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. Jesus did this. Jesus went to the synagogue every week on the Sabbath day because it was his custom. He did what God told him that he should be doing as well. He practiced this. If he was practicing it, and we're supposed to be walking like Jesus and being like Jesus, then it's necessary for us to do this too. We must meet together weekly on the Sabbath day to worship Him and celebrate Him and to be with each other and to encourage one another and sing together. Jesus did it. People are always saying, what would Jesus do? Jesus went to church every week. He went. So again, that's something that we are required to do. We can't have a complete and full Christian life without doing that. It's not something that we can just skip. It's a very important step in the process. It's a very important step on the walk with God to meet together. 1 Corinthians 12, verses 12 through 14 says, just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts for one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. The church is a body, right? And it goes on. If you were to read the rest of Corinthians 12, it goes on and it talks about there being a hand and a foot and a head. And we're all a part, we're all a piece of that body. This is why it's so important for us to go to church. Because if you're just an eye, what can an eye do by itself? If you're just a hand, what can a hand do by itself? If you're just a head, what can a head do by itself? It cannot be, you cannot act in one body if you're not together with all the parts. The eyes have to meet up, the hands have to meet up, everything has to connect together. And that's what we do at church. We connect together. And if one part's missing, it's not complete, it's not whole. We all have to be there. We all have to be there. We all have to be a part of something bigger than us. Again, worshiping by ourselves is necessary. We should worship by ourselves. We should have a personal relationship with God, but we should also have a corporate relationship with Him. Now, again, I have to admit, I have had a struggle with this, right? Going to church on a consistent basis has been a big struggle for me over my lifetime. And a big part of it is that I was hurt by the church several times. And when I say the church, I wasn't hurt by all the people in it, but I would sometimes get hurt by the pastors, or I would get hurt at how I was taken advantage of or treated. A lot of people have negative experiences at church. Might not be the pastor, might be some people in there, because I'll be the first to admit there's people in that I used to go to church with, all the way from being a child to a grown up, that were hypocritical. They condemned others. They didn't see the good in others. They were quote unquote goody two shoes when it came to their walk with Christ. They thought that they were better than everybody else. They were narcissists, or the preachers were narcissists. And they would condemn how and why we would worship. And it became an experience I didn't like. I didn't like that experience. I felt like I was always being judged or used or abused. And that's not good, obviously. But it shouldn't keep me from trying to find another church in which I don't feel that way. You know, the church I go to now, it's it's one of the best places I've ever gone in terms of church. I feel welcome there. I feel comfortable. I don't feel used. I don't feel abused. I don't feel condemned. I feel welcomed. My pastor welcomes me. The people welcome me. They encourage me. They pray for me. They pray with me. I don't feel like I'm being held hostage to give a certain amount of money or anything like that. It's pure worship together. We're going to learn about God together, and there's no condemnation or anything attached to it. So if the reason you're not going to church is because you've had negative experiences with church, don't give up. They're not all the same. Not all churches are the same, you know? And again, church is just it's for a corporate teaching, corporate learning, coming together to support each other. But if you weren't supported at the church that you had been going to, don't give up on that. Don't give up on the idea that there's not another church out there that operates in a manner that helps your worship and not hinders it. I encourage everybody to go to church. I've been going consistently for the past 2 months, and it's been amazing. It's really been amazing. It's so comforting. It gives me, the more and more you go, the more you feel like you need to be there. Like if you're not there, you're missing something. Because you are. Anytime you don't go to church, you are missing something. You're missing a teaching, you're missing a learning, you're missing corporate fellowship, you're missing out on that. But the caveat to that is that when you stop going, if you just stop once or twice, it gets easier to stop going. And then you start convincing yourself and lying to yourself again, saying, I don't need to go to church. I'm sorry, but you do. It is a requirement. It is something that we have to do to fully worship God with all our capacity, with all our heart and soul. Corporate fellowship, corporate worship is a big, big, big part of that. So, again, church isn't optional. If you've been hurt, I apologize to you on behalf of that church, whatever that church was. I'll take the blame for it because people can be hypocritical. It's not just Christians, people can and will be hypocritical. But we're not there to judge how each other worships, right? So go for you. Go for you. Find a church that you feel good at. If you're in Houston, come to my church. New Harvest Fellowship, 220 Greens Landing, Houston, Texas. Show up. We'll be there this Sunday, 10:15. If you don't feel like you have found a church, we'll welcome you. We'll be there for you. We'll give you the best experience possible. So, yeah. So, Father, tonight I first come to you with asking for forgiveness for all the times that I told myself I didn't need to go to church, for all the consistent Sundays and many, 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 many Sundays, months on end, years on end, that I refused to go to church because I was either hurt by the past experiences or I felt like it just wasn't necessary, like I didn't have to do that. I'm sorry for being away because I missed out on so many teachings. I missed out on so many opportunities to learn, so many opportunities to fellowship with people, so many opportunities to meet other people that were in this walk with me, so many opportunities to just be a part of something bigger. I missed out on all of that. So I'm very, very sorry for not keeping that part of your command. I didn't do that, so I apologize. But as always, I thank you for your forgiveness after my apology right now. And I thank you for allowing me to find a church that I felt comfortable at, that I felt at ease at, that I felt welcomed at, that I felt like I was being truly fed the word in a way that was understandable to me. I'm very, very thankful for my church home. I'm very thankful. I thank you that you orchestrated it in a way that I came to that church because you do everything. Everything is for a reason, everything's for a purpose, and you make it all work together for the greater good. And you did that for me when it came to my church. You really did that, and I am so, so absolutely thankful for it. And Father, I pray for everyone out there. I pray for those who had bad experiences at church and aren't going now just because of those bad experiences. I pray that you help them see that not all churches are equal, that everybody's human. Everybody is human, everybody has their shortcomings, but we should not be going to look for other people's perfection. We should just be going to church to worship together, to corporately worship you. So please, again, if they've had any issues, I ask that you put it on their spirit to just go to church again, to get up, forgive those past experiences, forgive the people who made them feel however they did, and move beyond that and give church another try. Because this is a commandment. We are supposed to keep your Sabbath holy. We are supposed to assemble together and worship together. This is something you told us we are to do as believers. And so, Father, please give everybody the yearning to want to fulfill that, the yearning to want to go and meet with others, the yearning to worship you together, worship you together. And Father, if nobody out there has a church, I pray that you put it on their heart to come to mine. Come to my church where we can worship together. I ask all this in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.